So, good evening, everyone. This is Gaganjeet Singh. I'm Customer Success Manager from WOW. For your information, WOW is the official alumni engagement partner of IIT Mandi Alumni Association. I welcome you all to today's webinar, Journey After Graduation. This is second webinar in our series of Journey After Graduation is the series name. Last time we did College to Tech Giants, and this time we have again three champs with us from class of 2013. So Saurabh Jain, Mohit Malhotra, Divya Gandhi. So all your seniors are over here. You can put a lot of questions to them, right? They're all prepared. So Saurabh and Mohit are from electrical department, and Divya is from computer science. Uh, just to before introducing about their work life currently, I'll request Dr. Varun Dutt to please come forward for the welcome address.
Yeah, thanks, Gagan. Thank you for a warm welcome. Thank you to all the participants who have joined. I hope you stay tuned for the next 1 hour. Thank you to my colleagues who have joined from all over the world. Divya from US, Saurabh from Delhi, Mohit from Bangalore. And it's a pleasure to have my alumni colleagues from 2013 batch to join today. Fortunately, I have the honor, or you can say the fortune, to teach our alumni from 2013 batch during this is our first batch from 2009-13, and they have had probably the hardest BTech, you can say, adventure at IIT Mandi and before that at Roorkee. I remember Divya actually did we used to call this BTP at that time, BTech Technical Project. Now it's called MTP with me. I guess Nishant was also there. Remember that D-Space project. So it's been a lot of, and of course Saurabh and Mohit. So saw them in my class off and on. So it's very good to speak to you again. Fond memories of that time, and it's great to have you. Of course, we have among us a number of students who are as well as alumni today who are connecting to, of course, those who have studied with you and those who might want to see you as gurus who can give some expert advice and guidance in during this time. So of course, our students and our fellow colleagues look forward to your advice and guidance. I guess there may be a bunch of questions they may have. From the Alumni Association, I've been actually advising the Alumni Association recently. We also call this the Alumni Affairs Cell on campus. We have had significant number of alumni now graduate from the institute, 1,000+ alumni. And as part of course, we are in a very difficult time with COVID-19 and other problems. But one thing which has happened because of this problem is the ability to connect remotely virtually. And we've been doing that for our classes. And we have also been fortunate to use this medium to have all of you today. So one thing is that Alumni Association or Alumni Affairs Cell at our campus would like to connect with alumni and like you and others, and also at the same time look forward to you getting involved in different parts of the institute building activity, which of course you may feel that you may not be able to contribute much, but even sitting remotely, I would say that there are a lot of opportunities to connect and to make things happen. We have recently with Huawei started this Alumni Connect website portal. Definitely those who are in the chat as participants or in the panel to make an account, and it's a one-stop solution to connect with your juniors, with faculty, and with the Alumni Affairs Cell. So I won't take more time. Again, I'll thank to all of you for connecting today, and I'll let my students, ex-students, my colleagues speak today. Thank you.
Great. So let's start a session. I think we should start with Saurabh, right? So Saurabh, just to introduce Saurabh, Saurabh is not only an alumnus of IIT Mandi. Right after pursuing his studies from IIT Mandi, he joined SBJIMR and completed his MBA in finance. From there, soon after that, joined Dell in as like in finance leadership program. Worked over there for 2 years. Worked in Dell for total of 4.5 years from 2015 to 2019, and followed by that it joined Broadway Technology in November 2019 and working there as a finance controller. So Saurabh, the platform is all yours. Just tell us about your journey right from your journey at IIT Mandi and how you actually went on to make your career. What was your goal? How you actually worked on it? Because all the students currently are just looking forward to see you, like how you can guide them basically as a mentor today.
Sure. Thank you, Gagan, and thank you, Varun sir. It was a pleasure being in your class, and uh, enjoyed a lot during those classes as well, like the MDM courses that we did with you. I was in one of those classes, so I enjoyed a lot during that class. But thank you for the warm welcome, and thank you, Gagan, for setting this up. Thank you guys for joining. Uh, and just to give you a background, so I joined IIT Mandi in 2009 2013 batch. That was the first batch, and I was part of the electrical engineering program. We started our journey in Roorkee, and after about a year, we shifted to Mandi. We didn't shift to command; we shifted to Mandi, where we were there in the temporary campus. We stayed most of the time in Mandi. At that point of time, command was actually under construction, getting built up, and there was a lot of things that used to shift in the middle of the in the 4 years from Mandi to command when the facilities were built. So it was a transition period when we actually were there. So we have seen the institute grow from like the very foundation of the institute being set up to what it is today. I was fortunate enough to visit Mandi about a year back as well, and the campus is awesome. You guys are having a blast over there. So so make the most of your time of that campus. It's a beautiful campus, it's a beautiful place. As Gagan just mentioned, so I just after my graduation in IIT Mandi, actually during the fourth year, I had actually prepared for CAT, and I gave CAT. I joined SPJMR Mumbai. SPJMR, if for the folks who are not aware, it's a private MBA institute, one of the leading institutes in India as well as the world. It has about uh, it is a 35 to 40-year-old institute and very well recognized across the world. I did 2 years of my MBA, or what they call it as PGDM, postgraduate diploma in management. My majors were finance, and post that I got a PPO from Dell. I did my internship in Dell and got placed in Dell directly from there. So Dell was another different story altogether. It's a beautiful company to work in. It's a beautiful company to start your uh, career in. I was part of the finance leadership program. The finance leadership program was essentially a 2 year program where you do 6 months rotations in different fields of finance. So just so that you get that exposure in finance is a very vast subject, right? So it's not easy to figure out what exactly in finance you want to do. So that helped me. And post that, I worked for another 2.5 years in one of those particular four streams. And last year, approximately in November, I joined Broadway Technology. Broadway Technology is a software as a service firm which actually provides investment banking software as a service. And I am in the finance team of that function, helping the business grow. So that has been my journey. I am in an engineering company, but not in an engineering field. So that to say, the key takeaway for me has always been to pick up new challenges, and Dell was a new challenge. Broadway has been a new challenge, and that has helped me grow. So I'll pause at that, give others a chance to speak, and probably go more into detail when we go through the questions, right? Gagan?
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. Thanks for your inputs and sharing about your journey. Like I'll invite Mohit now to please come on platform. So to introduce Mohit Malhotra, he's scientist in ADA, and now just look at his star profile. That he's involved in the flight control system design and development of LCA Tejas, right? So someone who is actually helping the forces is over here, and he can actually share about his journey. So Mohit, the platform is all yours. Just share about how you actually landed up being a part of such a great project.
Thank you, Vipin, for giving us this opportunity to share our experiences with you. A very good evening to all the faculty members, the management of IIT Mandi, and to the people of WOW India. So, good evening and good morning to our friends on the diagonally opposite part of Earth. So, my name is Mohit Kumar Malhotra. I belong to Electrical Engineering batch of 2013. It is the pioneer batch of IIT Mandi, and we started our journey as Saurabh told in IIT Roorkee. From there, we shifted to our own campus in Mandi, which was still a temporary campus, and we graduated from the temporary campus of Mandi town itself. And it has been a very exciting journey after graduating from IIT Mandi. I am involved in the flight testing and control law design and testing of LCA Tejas. Currently on deputation from Government of India, I am doing my masters in Aerospace Engineering Department in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. In IASC Bangalore, I am working on designing guidance laws for aircraft rendezvous. And talking about the journey after IIT Mandi, it was full of challenges and new experiences, something which in college most of us don't face owing to the different nature of an academic schedule and an industrial setup. So, owing to the sensitive nature of my job and restricted things about it, I'll not be able to talk about the sensitive details of the LCA Tejas program. I request all of you to please Google the HAL Tejas page of on Wikipedia and also see various YouTube videos that are there. But having said that one, I will definitely like to talk about my journey in IIT Mandi, which was instrumental in setting up the stage for my journey after graduating. In IIT Mandi, I was in the electrical engineering batch. From Roorkee, it was a paradigm shift when we shifted to Mandi town. Everything was a streamlined thing in Roorkee. There were seniors who were there to guide us which courses to take, which courses not to take, and placement, career opportunities. There were people to talk about. Whereas in Mandi, we were the senior most batch. So everyone was looking to us for various things. So that gave us a bundle of opportunities. There were teething problems as per many people. However, I will call them, they were new opportunities that we guys enjoyed the most. All the batches after our batch had less number of opportunities because most of them were getting solved each year by year. So we were the most fortunate batch, I would like to say that way. So talking about my journey in IIT Mandi, I would request all the scholars to use this time of 4 years to build your own ethics, to prepare yourself for the competitive world outside. in the industry. So it is like this: more you sweat in peace, less you bleed in war. Use your time wisely, build strong moral values, and there are small things like you do your time management properly. There should not be a need for the professors to guide you to submit your assignments on time and stop copying from each other. The more independent you will be in these regard, the better will be the outcome of the 4 years of rigorous training. And one thing I would like to share that my father always teaches me is to become a balanced personality in life. There will be many moments during your academic curriculum which will be full of highs and lows. So if there is any moment which is full of joy, please don't get overexcited. And if there is any low moment in your life, be it professional, be it personal, please don't lose all out hope and talk with your people, talk with your faculty members, keep everybody in loop. And after every night, there is a day, and after every day, there is a night. So it's an ongoing process. Please make the best out of the 4 years. And there is a general conception that one now we have studied enough, we are into IIT, everything will be fine for us. It is not exactly this way. The these 4 years will act as a sharpener. So better to sharpen your skills, reskill, upgrade yourself with each passing day. There shouldn't be any day where you don't learn even a small thing. Every day should be full of learning, be it as small as a small skill in Microsoft Word or in Microsoft Excel. Everything, every day should be full of new learnings. Then I would also like to request all the scholars to talk with the stalwarts there present in the IIT Command campus. Specifically, I would request to talk to and spend time with Professor Timothy Gonzalez, who is our pioneer director. On paper, this college was set up by the ministry, by bureaucrats, by the powerful people of the nation. But on ground, this college was built from scratch by the students, by Professor Timothy Gonzalez and the faculty members. Please be respectful to all of the people present inside and outside IIT Mandi. Everybody says that we should not judge a book by its cover, but the sad reality or the fact of the matter is that people happen to judge a book by its cover. So once you move out of IIT Mandi, you carry on your shoulders a heap of the legacy that has been built over the years. So please control your actions and make sure that you add something to the pride of IIT Mandi. And all the very best for all your endeavors. And I think we'll gather more information and this talk will be more fruitful by picking up your most valuable questions and answering them as we move forward. And as Saurabh has said, now I think I'll give this podium to our third speaker. So over to you, Gagan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohit. It was really insightful, and the way you're guiding your students, like being an institution, like I'm, I'm only a third party service provider for the IIT Mandi, but the institution might be feeling very proud when you come up with, a talk where people are actually looking at a senior, basically. Now you're not that college senior, you're actually guiding them to how pursue their life for career growth. Thank you so much. Let's go to Divya now. Divya, first of all, thank you so much for waking up in the morning on a weekend. It's 7:30 in the morning. See, she's she wake up so early for you guys. So don't leave her. Just ask as many as questions you can ask to her. So just to introduce Divya Gandhi, she's a alumna of class of 2013 computer science stream. She worked as a tech consultant before taking up software development for Geo, and now currently working at GitHub as a senior software engineer at Seattle. So, Divya, the platform is all yours. Please go ahead and guide your juniors. Right.
Thank you, Gagan, for that introduction, and thank you, Professor Dutt and the Alumni Affairs Cell to have us here. It's a great opportunity to talk to everyone, and it's incredible to follow the profiles of Saurabh and Mohit, who have done some incredible work. Thank you for your contributions to Tejas. Mohit, I'm personally a big fan of what you're building out there. Uh, as far as my profile goes, I have maintained a pretty low key profile. After I graduated from college, I dabbled a couple of years in software consultancy, and I was a tech analyst for a while. I jumped a lot of jobs before deciding that okay, this is not for me. And then that is the time when I reconnected with some of my alumni from Roorkee, and joined this startup in Geo where they were trying to build their own infrastructure services for the country. And that was a pivotal moment for me because, first of all, I learned that I like software engineering. Second of all, because I was surrounded by some of my mentors, some of my career mentors, I had incredible learning in how the industry works, what are the other options available, and some things which I'm regretful to say I did not learn in college because I wasn't a good student. I know there were people who were smarter than me, and there were people who were, and I wasn't focused too. So that's something that I always recommend every student that I talk to, that while you are in college, try to get a mentor as early as possible. It doesn't have to be someone who is senior to you. It doesn't have to be someone from college. Look them up online, find someone whose profile you like, follow their content. There's a lot of content in the internet, and just try to understand how people have been contributing, how people make an impact, and how people create wonderful things in this world. I think that's a wonderful skill to have. And once you have an example set out on okay, someone else has walked this path before, you are not going to be the first few software engineers graduating from college. People have done this circle of this wheel of 4 years of graduation a lot of times. So there are great examples of mentors that you don't even have to talk to them, just follow their content, just follow what people have been contributing over time, and try to see how that adds value to you, and what skills do they value most. I think I'm strongly in favor of what Mohit said, right? This is a period where you are building skills. This is a period where you are building work ethic. You may choose not to do it in 4 years. I did not do it in 4 years. I'm going to be like, I can give as much gyan as I could, but I did not do it in 4 years. I built my work ethic. I built a lot of my skills that were useful for me in my current job over time. It took me a lot of time to get there where I can say that, you know what, I know where I'm headed. I know what I'm doing. And uh, some of the other students and some of the other, I'm pretty sure Mohit has been talking about skill building in terms of time management. It was only this week, surprisingly, that I was thinking that, you know what, I think I'm there where I can switch context and I can manage my time more effectively. And it's a personal journey. It took me 10 years. It doesn't have to take you 10 years. So that's great advice to follow. I that is all that I have. Gagan, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Divya. Let's move on to a few questions which we received during registrations. There's a question by Anjani Sagar. So the question is, there's always a confusion that how to decide what we need to focus about, right? Much of the time we push us to grow knowledge, to gain knowledge, but as when we come across industry, we are asked for skills, how to deal with that. Maybe three of you can just put some light on, they are asking like how to remove this question, whether to focus more on gaining knowledge or more on gaining skills. Yeah, maybe we can start with Mohit. And
Yeah, thank you for the question. Like, to this question, I would like to say that there is not necessary that there is an answer to every question, and this is one of those type of questions. For example, when there is a autofocus feature in these days mobile phone cameras, if you try to scan something or try to take a photo of something, It takes time for the processor of the phone to realign itself and decide what to focus on and what not to focus on. So it's a kind of augmented learning, reinforcement learning. It's learning on its own. So take it that way only. Move ahead in life, move ahead with time, and rather than somebody else telling you what to focus and what not to focus, be it us or be it the faculty, be it your student friends, it should be you who should discover in life that okay, I am tailor made for this activity or I am best suited for that activity, and let me focus on that particular aspect. That will be the long term solution. Other things will be all short term solutions. To end my answer, I would like to quote a small example. In fourth year, when we were there, somebody is giving GATE exams, somebody is giving GRE, somebody is giving CAT, somebody is giving UPSC. There were some students who were very clear in life. Okay, I don't have to do this, I have to do only this. And there were some unfocused students who were like, okay, since my friends are doing, I'll also do this. Don't be that way, and move ahead with time. Your focus will automatically shine, and you'll always come to know on your own what you are tailor made for. Don't be in a hurry to discover your focus. You'll lose the enjoyment of these 4 years if you try to find an answer to each and every question. Thanks, and over to you, Gagan.
I'll just jump in on that one. Like Mohit, awesome advice. I second that live with all my force. Right, uh, it's your experiences that teach you, and it's your experiences that will guide you in what thing you will be able to contribute most. It's your interest. On the question as such, you said whether to focus on knowledge or whether to focus on skill. I don't think they go in two separate directions. They actually go hand in hand. Your skill builds your knowledge, and your knowledge is getting sharpened by your skills. So once you start implementing your knowledge practically, that is skill. And once you start building your skills, you gain more knowledge how to do that. Your college is a good time to, it's a controlled environment where you can maybe focus on multiple things if you wish to. But if you wish to, you can focus on one single thing and dive into it in like multiple ways in the same thing. So it's up to you what you want to do, but I would always say your experiences will go ahead and give you that clarity on what to focus on. Do not think a lot about it. You will automatically find your way out of that.
Great. So wow answers from both of you. Diva, I just want to go one move ahead in this question. Actually, I know why this question has been raised up by a student, because many of them feel that in Indian education system, the knowledge is good. Like professors are good when they are coming up with your book knowledge and giving you a lot of theories. They are teaching you, but somewhere there's some lag between there's no touch between the industry and education, Indian education systems. And where people feel that we really don't know like how to apply the theories and models which we have actually learned during our college days, right? So maybe that is why the question is like where should we push us, whether it is knowledge or the skill, because when we land up in industry, people ask us for the skills, they don't look at our knowledge. So Divya, how would you like to answer this question?
That's a great question. Thank you. Thank you to whoever asked this question. This is actually, I heard all the answers, right? This follows up to the previous question on what comes first. I think it comes down to the fact that when you're in college, you shouldn't be able to tell what is knowledge and what is skill. Like that's my take on it. And I know older IITs have a certain way of doing things, but I don't know if it's still around, right? But in IIT Mandi, I remember we used to have 40% project work and 60% of theory work. Is that still the case? Maybe not, maybe yes. But when I was in college, I did not truly appreciate on what I was being taught, because I didn't know that they're trying to teach me this, right? So for example, we did this design this horrible course where which I was extremely bad at, was design. Some design, we had to build some projects with a
Design
team.
practicum.
Design practicum,
Yes, thank
yes.
you. Thank
It
you
is
for
still
that.
there,
Thank
and
you.
the curriculum is pretty much the same what you experienced.
Yep, awesome. That's so I did not know what they were trying. I just thought that, oh, you know what, someone is trying to make my life miserable. I did not know that how now that I'm here, right? I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to like essentially play with what is available. I'm buying like do-it-yourself kits to get my spark plug working. That's essentially what design practicum was trying to teach us, is to be hands-on. Another example is, I remember Tag gave us a course, gave us an assignment, a project to do an open source documentation of some like any library you want to. And I thought, Tag is trying to make my life miserable. There's no other, there's no way this is going to be useful in my life, right? And then now I'm actually contributing to open source in the last 3 years, and I'm seeing how much verbosity or how many words go into explaining just one simple issue. So that was what I was being taught in college eventually led to what was making me useful at my job or impactful at my job. It's just that we try to separate them into, you know, what am I trying, what am I being taught here? Like, just tell me like which part of it is useful, and then I'm going to go do that only. That's not possible. That's essentially what Saurabh was also saying, right? You try to put your heart into what you are being given, or what you are being taught, or what is it that you want to do. It doesn't have to be some assignment from college. It can be any project you pick up online. Whatever it is that you choose to do, just be sincere and give it 100% thing, and not be like, oh, you know what, maybe this part, maybe the like grades are important and the learning is not, so what is going to get me the fastest grades? So it goes hand in hand. You once you are in the industry, you're able to identify these patterns on this was useful in college and this was not, right? But for it to be effective, right, for your 4 years of education to be effective, you just have to be sincere in what you're doing. You can it doesn't have to come directly from professors. It doesn't have to be directly like for someone who didn't have any engineering background, who didn't I literally the first time I wrote any program was first year of college. I did not know a lot about how coding works, and you guys have so much more exposure, and you guys, I see people coming into college who have already been through the same regime a couple of times, so they know exactly what they are in college for. I was still discovering myself, and I was still trying to find what is important to me in college. And the thing that I should have done differently, maybe I could have done differently, is try less to focus on what I am being taught, and trust that the process is here to help you, and the process is here to help you navigate this. If you are someone who is not who is not who is as unfocused as I am, and give it 100%, whatever it is. I know how I used to navigate college, and maybe that is helpful. In the last few years at college, my CGPA was awful. I'm not proud of it, but that was awful. And I was like, oh, you know what? I won't even be able to sit for placements if I don't change something here. And then I decided to do that. You know what? I need to focus on few subjects that I really love and see how I can be impactful there. I know I did not have time because I was extremely unfocused. I was extremely not diligent, essentially. And that's true. That's how I worked for almost 2 years or 3 years of college. I used to pick, okay, I know that I love Professor Dutt's course. Now I know that I'm going to get a 9 or a 10 here. How do I make that happen? I loved Professor Gagan Garg's courses. I loved everything. I loved automata and computer design. And I put all my energies towards acing that and then see how everything else fits into it. So have one North Star goal. You weigh you everyone in college, at least the way I think of it, knows way too less to make those decisions on what is important. Just pick one. And this plays into the question which was asked online too, right? Stop focusing on what is important and what is not. Just pick one. We spend far too much time thinking about, is this important, is this going to add up, is this going to not add up? Don't do that. Just pick one, stick to it, try to fail fast so that you can come back and try something else instead of remaining in this eternal state of, is this important, maybe what I'm doing is not important. Pick one and give it your 100% and see if it fits. If it doesn't, move on. also, this is also important part of like my process is just fail fast. If something doesn't work, move on. There are a lot of things, and there are a lot of skills. There are a lot of these streams in every project or in every course that you do, which will stick out to you, which will appeal to you. Just find what appeals to you and say that, oh, this doesn't fit. Like design practicum, as much as I hated it at that point in time, I tried it after that and I did that course. I got good grades, everything went fine. But now I know that that wasn't for me. But at that point in time, I gave it my 100%. I should have given it my 100%, but I gave it my 50% because I was always in question, always doubting whether this was important or this was not. And we were the first batch who were doing it. So the trust level was extremely low. But yeah, that's all that I have to say, Gagan.
Right. So thank you so much for answering that question. So there's this
Gagan,
Gautam. Yes.
Gagan, Mohit
Yes.
this side. May I please take around 100 seconds to say something?
Yeah, that is way too specific. 100
Yeah.
seconds. Like now we know that you have worked for LCA Tejas, right? Yeah.
No, I'd like to keep my answer very short. And there was somebody
Yeah.
asking like there is a gap between industry and academics and the Indian education system. These words caught my attention. So
Yep.
to that, I would like to answer that the Indian education system is not something different from us. We as students are an integral part of this Indian education, so-called Indian education system. And nobody is stopping us to bridge this gap between academics and industry if it exists according to you. For example, in my case, I had taken around 6 to 7 internships in very small setups without any certificate, without any mention, without any credit, just to gather knowledge. For example, in a 66 kV substation, I sat with the electricians and understood what they are doing, how they are taking the readings from various meters, what is their daily life, how they are understanding the network grids, and uh, their understanding. These are those people who don't even have a formal class 12th degree, but their understanding of certain things of the engineering aspects related to electrical engineering in my case is even better than what most of us may have. I'm not saying have, I'm saying may have. For example, that particular electrician has a better understanding of the three-phase star delta connection, whereas we may be better in finding the equivalent resistance of a three-phase star delta connection. So go out in industry, take small internships, take the understanding from these small setups, use the engineering knowledge from your classes, and bridge this gap yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to come on campus with a star-studded placement or internship opportunity to place in front of you. That spoon feeding is inversely proportional to the bridging of gap. More the spoon feeding, bigger will be the gap. So try to do it yourself rather than expecting somebody else to bridge this gap. Thank you, women. Over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Mohit. So, there's one alumnus of IIT Monday only, Gautam, which he was here with us. I don't know whether he's there in the attendees now because I was asking him whether he would like to come on panel because he specifically asked questions to all three of you. He actually mentioned to Saurabh, to Divya, and to Mohit, and he mentioned his questions as well, like to whom what question I have to actually ask. I'll start with Divya. So he started with Divya, followed by Saurabh, and then Mohit. So Divya, this question is for you. Like when you converse with your friends who are in startups, what is your take on the comparisons on the lines of fast learning, getting a bigger piece of decision making, cross domain learnings? So he's your junior. He's from BTech Computer Science 2016 pass out only.
Can you repeat that question, please, for me?
Yeah, the
Thank you.
question is when you converse with your friends who are in startups, what is your take on the comparisons on the lines of fast learning, getting a bigger piece of decision making, and cross domain learnings?
Wow, this seems very specific. I don't know what this is referring to, but I'm trying to address as best as I can. It When we say startups, right? We always think about the startup which is which is essentially running low on money. That's how we define startups, right? But the way I see it is, the way I see it is even corporates have a tendency to run in startup mode. So it's not essentially linked, it's not always linked to the size of the team or let's say the economic status of any enterprise. It's linked so deeply on how fast you make decisions. And I think that's what the person is addressing too, right? Like when we answered the last question, Saurabh, Mohit, and me essentially said the same thing, and Saurabh put it really beautifully on reskill, relearn, try something, repeat, fail fast, come back, try something else, reskill yourself, relearn, and come back. And this is what three of us found successful in our personal careers, right? Now you take the same thing and put it in on a team of like 20 people, say, right? Or 40 people or 100 people. That's when at that scale, that becomes how the company works. Startups work in this mode where they're saying that, you know what, reskilling, relearning, repeating, failing are going to help us become successful better, faster than corporates who say that, you know what, we found this niche that we need to focus on. Microsoft does one thing, right? It builds enterprise software, and Microsoft is really good at that, right? So they, instead of iterating over failing fast, they try to maintain the state where they want to keep remaining successful. So they iterate over what is already successful. Apple does the same thing, right? They have one successful thing and they say, you know what, we are going to iterate over this successful product so well that we don't have to innovate in increasing the product sizes. A small hardware team or a small hardware company would do something different. They'd be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to try to introduce this new watch. Fitbit did that, right? And see if it works. If it works, we're going to iterate over it. If it doesn't work, we're going to come back and build another watch, maybe build another personal device, tracking device, right? So this discrimination or like this differentiation between how companies work is really important, because that's the, I'm not saying you should like prefer one over the other, but that's going to help you understand that, like Mohit talked about, like how his job requires him to go through multiple internships in one day. The same thing is true for me too, right? It's just that different internships. When I'm working, for me to be effective at my job, right, I have to go through these multiple learning processes with multiple teams on like, oh, you know what, how privacy and learning works. This is privacy and legal compliances work for a product at GitHub, right? I don't know anything about it. So I have to learn that. I have to take the best decisions based off that learning for my project and move on to something else. So that this skill learning is going to go on. Like, it's not going to end once you get a job, or this is not going to end that, you know what, now I have a job, I'm going to be stable and I'm going to be as effective as I can be. It's just going to become part of your life, right? And that also is true, because someone asked in the online question that, does it get boring when you're in this job for that long? I don't think so, because I'm getting these smaller internships or smaller learnings as part of my job constantly. So there's no time to get bored, I would say. I hope I answered your question, whoever that is. I tried my best. Gagan, your call.
Yeah. So actually, there's one more question for you on startups again. So it's again from the Gautam. So when you look back, what do you think a possible journey could have been if you had joined some startup, like
I
right
think
after your pass out?
uh, I'm not sure I can answer that. I think it comes down to how much you want to hustle. It comes down to how much you're how ready you are to reskill and relearn and reshare, right? And how hurt how much tendency you have to do that. It just comes down to that. For me, I knew I've always had this tendency as a child too, right? If I don't like something, let me just move on. And that's essentially what I did with my jobs too. What happened eventually was that if I would have not liked the startup, I would have moved on. If I had loved the startup, I would have stayed. So it's just something which is inherent to, I guess, it's a very personal skill to know when to give up too. Like, I've been part of a lot of great startups. I've been part of some awful startups, awful teams too. So when I say that, I speak for myself. It's just that, give it your best shot, be 100% sincere, try to answer what makes you miserable at any company, and then see if that is fixable inside the company or if you have to move on. Like, it's a very simple thing on knowing or trying to address what is it that makes you happy or what is it that tries to make you miserable. And money should not be that reason. Or like skill, like project title, or your what is my, I want to become a manager, or I want to become, that should not be the reason for being miserable or being happy. What you're doing or what you're creating, and that's how your day looks like, should be the reason for. And you have to find, this is like so personal too, right? For me, that's the reason, that's not what makes me happy. For somebody else it could be different, and you will learn all these things. Like, we are giving all this gyan, right? I did not, if you had asked me the same question in 4 years back, or like when I had just graduated from college, I would not know. I'd be like, yeah, I see how it goes. And just see how it goes, guys. Like, you are, all of you, I want to just address this simple thing, right? All of you who are part of this call, right? Students, alumni, everyone, you're going to end up in nice places. That's 100% sure. If you decide that you're going to be sincere and you're going to hustle through, it doesn't matter what path you take. I know some students, like some of my peers who went through, who did masters and then eventually are working with me, right? I did not choose to do masters, but in both of our, there's no preference on what works and what doesn't work. We eventually ended up in the same place, and we eventually ended up in the, we went through the same learnings. It could be in a navigated project, navigated master's learning, or it could be like a personal journey that you take. So if you're sincere, you're going to be in a right place. It might take you some time. It might take others even lesser time. It might take some people extremely long time, but all of you are going to be in nice places. So just trust the process and give it your 100%.
There's this next question for Saurabh. Saurabh, like Gautam wants to know, like when you were leaving Dell, right? How, like what was that thing which made you switch, and how how your work profile at Dell actually helped you in your new profile that is at Broadway Technology? So
Okay, so
basically, normally why students ask this question, because there'll be few students, they'll be asking whether to, stick to one company or to switch, or
yeah,
what is the reason behind switch, and so all these things.
I think I just answered a piece of that question on the Q&A in the chat forum, but I'll take this opportunity to go through that. So essentially, like Mohit earlier said, and they earlier said, you figure out a way for you to learn, or the ethics that you follow, or the work profile that you follow. My my thought process has been that I'll be at a place where I'm challenging myself and I'm trying to learn new things. At After 2 years in Dell, first in the leadership program and then 2.5 years in a team, I was at a place that if there was a problem, I knew how to solve it. I knew how to reach out to someone who could solve it if I couldn't. And I knew what to do if that problem was seemingly unsolvable at my level, where to escalate, how to get things done. So things were starting to become trivial in terms of what I was doing. And that was the point when it did not dawn on me like one good day that, hey, I should change because I'm not doing this. But over a period of 2-3 months, you realize that, hey, whatever new problem is coming to you, it's just a new different form of the same problem that came to you earlier, and probably you are not learning that much as you would have when you solved that problem first. So that was my trigger point in trying to change. And in terms of how Dell helped me, so my current job is with a colleague who who worked with me in Dell. So it's not like things don't connect backward. I was in US for 6 months working with on an international assignment. He was my boss over there. He moved as a CFO of Broadway Technology, and he asked me to join this awesome company because they were undergoing a merger and acquisitions deal, and they wanted someone who can just come in and work on that stuff, right? And I was part of an integration team for the Dell EMC merger that happened about 3 or 4 years back. So I had that skill set or that experience to help. And when I came in, to this company, you guys probably wouldn't believe me, but in the last year I've been part of 3 deals. So essentially, we acquired one company, we got bought by one company, and now we are doing a divestiture from that company. So 3 different type of deals, which I wouldn't imagine a lot of people would get that exposure to. But it just happened because I felt I was not challenged enough at Dell in those last 6 months, and I tried to move something to somewhere where I thought I would be challenged. So that's essentially what I would say, that if you're feeling somewhere where you are not getting challenged enough, I think that's the time, that's the trigger for you to start looking at new things.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saurabh. So this last question is from Gautam is to Mohit. Mohit is asking, what is the approximate timeline of the projects you worked on in ADA? Basically, how is your opinion, like how people perceive it being being at a scientist role in ADA, and how is it in reality? They want to know about the exact role, like what you are doing, and how to basically, if somebody is looking forward to join ADA as a scientist, how normally people perceive it.
Well, Gautam, to this question, I wouldn't be able to say much. However, what is available in the open literature, I'll quote those things. So, timeline of project is one thing. Timeline of gaining confidence in building a product first first time in the country is another achievement. The first time any country builds any fighter aircraft, it takes a sweet time of around 25 to 35 years, be it any advanced nation or be it any deprived nation. So we are also very competent and are competing in the same uh, timelines as they or anybody else is following. And product LCA Tejas is one thing. The main thing I believe is the infrastructure that we have developed over the years to build a fighter aircraft from the scratch, and the confidence that without any foreign help we can do something in our defense reliance. So that is more important rather than just one product. If this aircraft has taken X years, the next aircraft will definitely take X by 2 or X by 3 years. The aircraft in next to that line will take even lesser time. So this is an ongoing process. First part to your answer is this one. Second, if somebody is eager to join ADA as a scientist, how to perceive or how to go about that. My recruitment in ADA as a scientist was done by the Recruitment and Assessment Center from Delhi. They came in to our campus in Mandi for a campus recruitment drive. I was recruited directly from campus, and I was very happy to choose this job role because it was a direct handshake between what I had studied for 4 years and what I will be doing for the next coming years. There was no friction between both of these. It was just shifting from a classroom to a lab setup and an industrial bigger setup. So it was very nice to come in this job role, and with very positive attitude I had joined, and I am expecting to continue with the same positive attitude for the coming time. Thank you, Gagan. Over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Mohit. So let's pick up this question on Q&A. Like I think Saurabh and Divya are already answering the questions. I would just like Saurabh to answer this MBA question, like because there's one CSE graduate from IIT Mandi, and he's confused whether to pick up MBA or not because at his workplace most of engineering managers are only BTech. So how would you like? I saw your answer. It's quite a big one, but I just want you to share with all. Yeah.
Sure. So, like, I saw the question there, and I would just want to point out that MBA is more about building your soft skills rather than hard skills. You understand more about people rather than specific subjects or specific. You of course deep dive into finance, marketing, people, or those things, but a lot of learning from MBA is about the people. You are working in teams, you are not working in silos. Everything that you do needs to be done in group work and all those things. So it does not matter which field you are in, but if you are looking towards going into a management position or a CXO level position, and a MBA will always benefit you. You can choose to do it now, you can choose to do it 5 years down the line as a PGPM course, or you can even choose to do it 10 years down the line as a remote learning course. But the experience that you get out of an MBA is, I think, is very important for your management experience. And if your particular organization has only BTech people in management profiles, they will always have a bias towards the tech side of things. You will be missing out on a lot of important things that allow a business to be successful. A very tech heavy company might miss out on very small people things which will come back to bite them later. And a lot of companies have gone bust because they didn't focus on finance, they didn't focus on people, they didn't focus on marketing, they did advertising blunders. They might have had a very good tech product, but these things, uh, a business runs as a whole and not as a single thing. That's what MBA will teach you. So look outside your company, look outside in other companies where people are in that CXO level position or management position, and what their profiles are, and you'll understand what will help you and what will not help you.
Right. So Divya, you also want to answer this question, right?
Yep. That was a great answer, Saurabh. That's essentially the TLDR of every graduate who goes through, oh, should I go for MBA or should I not, right? I'm going to take another stab at the same question in a slightly different perspective. And this is something I've believed in, right? Roles are easy to get, like you don't have to chase after roles. I've had the opportunity to be a manager like for 3 years. Will having the title of a manager make you happy? I know that I'm going to make a miserable one, right? Because I am not there yet. The same learnings that Saurabh has spoken about, you learn how to work with people. You learn how to, like in a project, right? You always have the few people who are invisible and just show up for the final assignment when you're ready to submit, right? How do you kind of navigate that and say, you know what, this person is not working. Why is he not contributing? What is it that this person values the most? And then you try to fill that void and try to make someone who is not interested into a full-time team member who is contributing to a project. This bridge is so important to navigate, because as a manager you're responsible for 10 people, say, right? Now the expectations of the organization from you is that you will be effective, you will be contributing work worth 10 people, and now you have these 3 people who are just not impactful enough, and that's not going to change. The same thing you're seeing in your college projects or everything is going to stay the same, right? Now as a manager you're responsible for making sure your work adds up to 10 people. You're also responsible for essentially the careers of these 10 people who trust you, that you're going to help push for help push them to the next level, whatever it is that is important to them, right? Maybe some people value that a title is important to them, so how do you get them to the next title? It's also, for some people it's important that they get no calls after 7 p.m. So how do you help fulfill those responsibilities, right? So learning how to fulfill this bandwidth of spectrum of people happiness and people charter, while also fulfilling what the organization is expecting from these 10 people, these learnings are so personal. Like I keep saying, I keep falling back to my personal experiences, and Saurabh said the same thing, right? Like he went through a navigated form where he had the same learnings in a much faster way, because he was put through that environment of stress, or he was put through that environment where it is beaten down into you on how to get impactful work from people, how to collaborate with everyone on the board, right? For me it's been a learning. Like even right now when I'm talking to my manager, right, I always think like, my manager is sometimes my therapist. She's trying to address the same things that a therapist would address. Like, I'm not happy. Why are you not happy? What makes you happy? These are some of the conversations that I actually have with my manager slash mentor slash whatever, right? It's so important to know that irrespective of, if you and that being said, right, it's also true that some of these skills are just inherent to you. I've seen some people who I can say that, you know what, you'd make a great manager in second year after your job. You're going to make a great manager like right after college, because you just have a natural tendency or natural skill to work with people. You can get titles are so easy to get, like titles are so easy to get, but you're not going to be a happy manager or an impactful manager or an excellent manager if you don't go through these learnings. And you can choose to do it anyway. You're going to, if you have put your heart into it that I'm going to become a goddamn manager, no matter what path you take, you're going to get opportunities for yourself. As this person already noticed, right, like there are BTech only managers in their team, right? Clearly something works for those BTech only managers that didn't work for other BTechs in the same team, right? What was different? Try to look at the fact that, oh, you know what? How is this person actually adding value to the organization? What is this person doing differently than all the other BTechs put together that he was given that opportunity? And why is he good at it? Is he impactful? Is he good at it, first of all? And do you want to be an average manager? Do you want to be a great manager? Do you want to be an awesome people pushing manager, and then see how what learnings are important for him and what skills are important? What skills got him there, and how can you develop those skills? Essentially, try to answer that question.
Right. So let's move to this last question on Q&A. And this is very important actually, because there's a reason why Lumina Association exists. You actually become a good source for your students to start networking from their college days itself. There's this, I don't know, there's one anonymous attendee who is asking a lot of questions. So he's asking, hi all, I'm a pre-final year student at IIT Mandi. Please give us some advice on networking, which will help us in our career after graduation. So I just want three of you to, cover about this networking part within like 60 seconds or a minute or so. And then we'll jump on to three important questions which Dr. Varun that asked in the first webinar. It's about the Alumni Association. I'll ask him whether he want to ask those three questions or should I pick them up. Before that, I want all three of you to answer this networking question. And just how do you see how networking is important in industry, and how a student or someone who is in pre-final or final year at IIT Mandi can make use of Alumni Association in building his or her professional network. We can start with Mohit. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Kevin, I'll try to answer that question in a crisp way so that there is a takeaway for this answer. And the answer to this networking question is that keep try to keep your eyes and ears open, and try to reach out to the alumni database. You can reach out to any of us anytime through any platform, social media, or any other thing. And that is one way of networking. We have enough alumni in the industry who are already there to help all of us. We are a family. So please reach out to any of us through any medium. Second way of networking is try to imbibe the qualities and experiences from your faculty members. Even we look out to them in certain aspects, such as networking. They have immense exposure, they have immense experience. We are just toddlers in front of that immense exposure. Our professors, uh, they attend conferences. You also go along with them, attend conferences, get in touch with inter-industry, cross-departmental people, and try to maintain good relations with them over a period of time. Try to figure out what they are doing. Try to express what you are doing. So it's a open uh, work that continues with the period of time. And main thing is try to keep your eyes and ears open. Be on a lookout for good networking at any point of time. You may find a good network even if you are traveling in a bus or you are traveling by air to some place. Try to talk with people around you, in front of you, backside of you. That is a way good networking can be established. but I feel Divya and Saurabh are better people to answer this question. So over to you, Gagan, for further proceedings. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
I'll
yeah,
take over,
sorry.
Gagan. So yeah, Mohit perfectly put answers. Like the alumni association is there for you guys to help network. The faculty has plethora of networks of themselves that they will be very happy to uh, share with you if you reach out to them. I'll just say that networking is a two-way concept. So try to give more than you take, and your network will always grow. Share your experiences with them. And there might be a time when the people who you reached out might need you. Be available for them, and your network will automatically grow. So so think of networking as building a relation. It takes time, but it pays out dividends when you least expect it to. So keep that in mind. And the avenues for networking are immense. You don't have to, like, I don't need to tell you guys where you can reach out to networks, right? Like, you can reach out to us on any of the social medias or alumni portals. You can reach out to people whose profile you like, but you don't know them. Just figure out a common connection, or just even cold call or cold mail them, right? There are people who are ready to help. So if you just take that first step and start giving back, your network will grow.
Right. Yeah. So, Divya, over to you for this question.
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh, Mohit. I think those were great answers. Those were essentially, yeah, I think that everything that has to be said is already said. Mohit said that you could network or you could find someone who is valuable to you on an airplane. I'm pretty sure if you take a Delhi to Bangalore flight, everyone you'll be sharing the aisle with will be full of software engineers, managers who've been in this industry with, right? Uh, Networking is I hate the word networking because it says that you have to do the effort and uh, kind of just do things to get something out of someone, right? That never works. That never sticks. How do you make your network stick? Like, how do you make sure that someone who just, and the thing is with alumni, right? You have been, we see IIT Mandi in your tag, at least that's how it works for me. We are going to respond to your hello. Like that's the power of alumni network, right? But how for people who are outside the network or people who are not in the same background, how do you build a connection? How do you make sure that that person is ready to refer you, is able to refer you, do that? By simply creating a community instead of building a network. Like, try to create a community of people that you care about and then see how you can contribute to that community. These are all my learnings from open source, right? Like, how do you build a community out of three people in the same room? The same thing is true when you are on an airplane aisle. The same thing is true for people who are around you right now. Like, look closely, everyone is going to end up in a fabulous place. That's your first level of community building, right? Do you have people in your batch or who are juniors to you who will root for you after you graduate? That's the fundamental part of community, right? That's the level one. Level two is the second level of connections, like your alumni. Like, they are from the same background, they value the same things, everything will fit in, and like, we'll be happy to do that for you, right? Level three of connections is when you're actually going ahead and saying, you know what, i I value what this person has to say. I value what his contributions are. I share the same values as him. Now, how do I make sure that this person is able to reciprocate to my values and contribute to what I want, like the same way I can? And that won't happen till you put in the effort. Like, that won't, if that person values you, he's going to reach out to you. That's not networking. He is going to make sure, if he's really good at what he does, he's going to reach out and make sure that he is available, right? But how do you become that person, or how do you give someone an opportunity to connect with you? Saying hi, how are you is not going to take forward a conversation. Putting in comments that are specific and putting in things that you value and you feel that the other person values too, right? Try to make a conversation. Like, don't keep it to like, oh hi, how are you? Make it a conversation and see what is it that you want from this, and like, how can you be better at it? And also, I acknowledge that we are running out of time. So if someone wants to drop out, I'm sorry for that.
No,
I have some time. We could talk some more, but
right. I didn't realize that we crossed 1 hour mark. It's already 10:15. Actually, there were three important questions from Dr. Varun that he asked in the first webinar. This is the second webinar. I don't know we have time for that. Uh, Dr. Varun, what do you think? As we are already running out of time,
You can ask one out of the three if
so
you want.
I'll ask the important one because that is why we feel that because being a young alumni association, we believe that all the alumni, they can come forward as a mentors. And the question is, how could alumni become mentors to students? Any one of you can pick up this question. So how do you feel, how do you think that this alumni can become mentors to students and help them in their career growth? Maybe Saurabh, you can answer this question, and then
I think a mentor-mentee relationship is a very personal relationship between two people, and it has to connect between those two people for that mentor-mentee relationship to actually be fruitful. And folks can always reach out to me or to anyone they want to reach out to, but once that relationship develops automatically, that will grow and take its own pace. So what we as an alumni affairs association, or that uh, the we can be a platform for these relationships to grow, right? So for example, we did this webinar today. There are 20 people who now know my name and know my face. If some of them feel that I can be a good mentor to them, they can reach out to me. I can start responding to them. Some of those relationships will die with time. Some of those relationships will blossom with time. That's how uh, generally your networking relationships follow, right? And that's how you create mentors. You don't start on day one saying that, hey, this person is my mentor, but you converse with them, you figure out uh, what their qualities are. Does it align with you? Does it not align with you? And over a period of time, you automatically see that person as a mentor. You don't have to put a label that he's your mentor, right? So as an alumni affairs association, we can always be there to provide that platform, but then it is up to the mentor and the mentee to take that relationship forward. And it should not actually be hand-holded by the alumni affairs association. Otherwise it won't actually be beneficial to the mentee, if you think about that. So that's my 2 cents about that.
right, right. So thank you so much. Yeah.
This is very good. Thank you, Saurabh, for enlightening on this. Absolutely, I agree with you. Mohit and Divya, if you have anything to add quickly, we can hear you out as well.
I have just one more statement here to add to what is going on, right? It for everyone who is in the call, right? Like it doesn't have to be Gagan or Varun sir or alumni cell who has to push you to network or like push you to connect. Like we don't. It's impossible to have private profiles. My profile is out in the public. Like I have a tag which says if you want mentoring, just reach out. This is the first time someone from my own college has reached out, like this whole platform, and this was coordinated by a third party, which is Gagan's team, who's doing awesome work here. Thank you, Gagan, for putting this together. But it shouldn't have to be a third party. You can just reach out, like talk to me. Like I have a very public profile. Everything that I value the most, including elections and the charter, is out there in some social media, some profile. You've got to do the hard work and find out what is this person up to and how do I make an impactful work. It's also easy to say that I'm going to connect with this person. That's easy. I'm going to accept your connection. That's going to work. How do you build that connection into something, into someone that I am passionate about or I care about, or I develop I would want to develop a relationship about? That's like another project, right? Like I've run mentoring rings for women in Delhi university colleges, kind of, and people fall out of these mentoring rings. People are very excited when they come into mentoring rings. They want to know everything there is to know about industry, kind of contribute the best way. Ultimately, once that agenda is achieved or something, right? It's hard to stay connected. Like if they're going to reach out to me, and I will be definitely providing them the same amount of help that I did in the last few years, right? But once that thing is over, uh, it's okay. It'll be nice if you stay connected, and you basically, these mentoring rings work only if there is an agenda. That's been my, and that's for you to find out what your agenda is. Like the first thing that I ask whenever a mentoring ring starts is you put 10 people in the same room. You just get a meeting with yourself, find out what's the agenda of this mentoring ring, and that is when we are going to close that ring and move forward. Like everyone do that, and that's what we've done. We do these 2 rings, 3 rings in over the past 4 years, right? The agenda was internship. The agenda was, coronavirus impacted internships or coronavirus impacted jobs, and then you move on. This brainstorming exercise on what you want from a mentor is something that is hardest to pull, because everyone comes in with different expectations that, oh, you know what, I'm going to talk to this person, he's going to give me a referral, and then I'm out of there. That's not scalable. That's a very one-time transactional thing, and we'll be happy to do that for you, but it doesn't scale that well in terms of how impactful that is. But I'm glad that this conversation has started. Thank you, Varun sir, for having us. I would recommend everyone to get a mentor, find a mentor. It doesn't have to be a synchronous conversation. It doesn't have to be like every time we are meeting in this orchestrated platform. And then I always say I have so many mentors, and some of them don't even know that they have been mentoring me through their content. They've been mentoring me through their work in the public space, right? So find whoever you can mentor from, and then see, do you want a synchronous, like a forum to have that mentoring, or is it possible to go through the same learnings in a more asynchronous way? There are people who put up content which is excellent and impactful and all of that, and you just have to find your tribe. Like it just comes down to like find who are the people that you think could impact you, and be sincere in terms of what you learn and how you learn from them. That's all. Thank you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Divya. And Mohit, you've been quiet. Anything you want
Yes,
to say?
sir. Sir, actually, I was quiet because I was very happy in listening to what my fellow panelists are saying. So I was also gaining knowledge from them. And there is, to answer the question specifically, there is a active alumni forum which has members from both the active students, scholars in IIT Mandi, as well as the alumni people. This is closely monitored by Mr. Pavin, I think so. There we tell what we are doing these days and what we are good at, and that can be used as a cart to by the students to uh, pick up one of us as their helpers rather than mentors, and we can guide them in the best possible way as per our capabilities and time limits. And they can use these existing platforms to reach out to us. And rest assured, if any mail or any communication is there to any of us, we'll be very happy to get back with suitable answers. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is great. And we also want all of our alumni to remain connected. Actually, it is a two-way process. We tend to learn from each conversation, as Mohit, you rightly pointed out. Even in the aeroplane, talk to people around you, find out what people are doing, and networking starts everywhere. Great. Gagan, anything else on the agenda right now?
No, nothing. It seems we are done with our session today. It was great. Actually, this like 75, 80 minutes just passed away like anything. I actually didn't even realize when Divya said like it seems we are running out of time. I just saw that it's already 10:15 over here in India, right? So, Dr. Varun, like with your permission, should we move towards concluding the session?
Sure, go ahead. You can conclude it. And if you want me to say 2 words, I'll say to my colleagues, my alumni, thank you, thanks much. These are the 2 words I'll say for spending time and finding time. Divya from 7:30 in the morning to night in the night till 10 plus, with tomorrow being office and working day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for having us. It's always been a pleasure to contribute back to to the college. Like even during the college, we always used to contribute. But if we can continue doing it after the college, it's our pleasure, to be honest. So feel free to reach out to us if you need anything. To the attendees as well, to the students as well, reach out to us if you want like any kind of help, and we will learn from you as well. We are actually just at the start of our corporate careers as well. We are 5 years, 6 years down the line. We are not so far away from you guys. We ourselves are learning a lot every day. So it would be a great learning experience for us as well. So thank you for having us.
Right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining. A special thanks to attendees because they are joining late night on weekend, and special thanks to Divya for waking up so early in the morning. Thank you, Dr. Varun Dutt, and thank you, Pavin sir, for arranging such a beautiful session with all three champs of IIT Mandi. So, to all those who are already like those who are with us till now, you will be redirected to a feedback form. Please help us in improving us. If you feel anything, there'll be a scale on 1 to 10. You can just give us a feedback over here. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. We are signing off for today's session. Thank you.
Thank you to all.
Thank you, everybody.
Gagan.
Thank you, sir.
Pavin, thanks again.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Bye
Welcome.
bye.
Bye bye. Good
Thanks,
night.
Gagan.
Good night.
Thank you. See ya, guys. Have a good day.